Welcome to another edition of Northern Heat. My name is Bob Lennon, President of Thermalwood Canada, host for the show. And today, our special guest, Michael Landsberg. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, you started off talking really quickly, so I'm thinking I got to be at my sharpest, my best to even match you. So let's go. Thanks for having me, by the way, Robert.
So, Michael, people that have been following sports and TSN for years would know your face and know your voice because you've heard it. But I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about your story, who you are, what you're all about.
Well, I mean, in this conversation and in many of the conversations I have now, I'm all about talking about mental health. For years, I never spoke about mental health, even though I had challenges in my life, because I thought, like literally thought that no one would care, that it wouldn't make a difference in anyone's life. Lifetime of anxiety, some of it, serious enough to shape the early years of my life, and depression off and on, severe at times for the last 20 years. I never spoke about it on the platforms that I had because I thought no one will care. People just think, oh, he knows there's people that don't like him. And that was a fact of life with me on TV. Some liked me, some didn't. People would just think, oh, he wants us to like him, so he wants our sympathy. I never spoke about it until one day. Robert, are you a hockey fan?
Not really, but I do watch a little bit here and there.
Okay, I'll take that as a no. I don't know anything about it, Michael. So therefore, I will not have heard of the person you're going to mention. And that person is Stéphane Richer. Stéphane Richer was a longtime Montreal Canadian, longtime NHLer, great player. He was a guest on Off the Record. And I hadn't spoken on the air about mental illness before, my own. Like I told you, the reasons why. I wasn't embarrassed or ashamed. I knew that he had battled depression in the 1990s. So I said to him, Stéphane, would it be okay if I asked you about how you're doing with depression? And he said, no, it's very painful. I don't like to talk about it. So I said to him, okay, I understand, but if you'll talk about it, would it help if I talked about it? And he said, what would you talk about? And I told him my story, and he said, okay, let's do it. So we went on the air. We talked for maybe 3 minutes. He told us his story, which was maybe the single best explanation of what really is depression. He said, imagine this, a Canadian kid born in Montreal, drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, last Montreal Canadian to score 50 goals. I'm the rookie of the year in the NHL. I win the Stanley Cup, and nothing brought me joy. None of that brought me any joy whatsoever. And holding the cup on the ice, all I wanted to do was go home and get into bed. And I said, wow, it's an amazing story for a Canadian kid, like, to have all of those wonderful things happen and not be able to feel them. So I said, my story obviously isn't like that. I didn't accomplish anything like you accomplished, but I understand every word that you said. And I maybe talked for a minute about my story. And Robert, that changed the course of my life, or at least the reaction did. I started hearing the majority of them from men talking about how hearing me and Stéphane Richer talking about our battle with depression without shame and embarrassment and without seeming weak had changed their lives. And these people reached out to me and told me something they'd never told another human being. And ultimately, many of them went for help just because they thought, hey, Landsberg's talking about it. He doesn't sound like a loser. Maybe I can do it. And that changed my life.
Well, and what year was this in?
This was 2009, coming off of my worst year, which I have memorialized on my arm. It says 11/24/08 YUL MH5210400. That's November 24th, 2008. YUL is the Montreal Airport code, MH521, Marriott Hotel Room 521, 0400, 4 a.m. in the morning. So that was in 2008, the worst time in my life. I understood why people take their own lives. We were in Montreal shooting Off the Record at the Grey Cup, and I was just shocked at how much pain I was in and how just the idea of just keeping going and experiencing, fighting this pain day after day just was more frightening to me than anything. So the next year when I was feeling better, I got the chance to talk about it, not thinking I'd do any good for anybody. I just thought, interesting question to ask him. And that changed my life.
Well, certain things change our lives, but talking about mental health and especially being, like you mentioned, in your role and you become a role model for plenty. Stéphane Richer was a role model for others, and being able to get up and talk about that, and then start that, because mental health has always been kind of that taboo topic, right? We don't talk about it. It classifies you and puts you in certain roles and certain places, and so you don't want to talk about it. And now, in your position, you have some influence in being able to talk to people, and so it's great to see that, and it's starting to be more and more common that people talk about it now that didn't exist before.
There's certainly more people that talk about it now than ever before publicly. Uh, but I'm not sure that we've had the kind of impact that we would hope to have had. I kind of look at the start of the anti-stigma era, where everyone was saying we got to get rid of the stigma, as being 2011, Bell Let's Talk Day, the first one, and all kinds of companies embraced the idea of changing the culture in their workplace, of showing people that a mental illness, that you can talk about it. But I don't think we've done a great job with that, because I continually hear from people who say, I can't talk about it. I'm afraid to talk about it. I don't know how to talk about it. So I think that we're on the right track, but for me at least, and it's not like I know anything other than what I've experienced and who I've spoken to, the key is to talk about what an illness like depression does to us, what it feels like. A doctor can't do that unless the doctor's been through it. But the real powerful way to get change is to talk about it. Somebody like me who's been through it. Like, I have a PhD in being a patient. No one knows more about depression and anxiety than I know. Lots of people know as much as me, but no one knows more. And if you can share your story and get people to say one of a handful of things, either, wow, I never realized it, but I think he's talking about me. All of what he described for depression, for instance, I've been feeling. That's a huge thing. And number two, for people to go, wow, I think he understands me. There's a huge power in being able to take a person from point A to point B if they feel like you understand them. So that's where I try to go with this, is to be as open and candid and raw as I can possibly be.
So now people that are listening into this show are asking, well, why am I having a conversation with Michael Landsberg? And so the reason why we're having this conversation is that you're coming to Bathurst this coming Thursday, the 12th of October. You have a speaking event that's scheduled for, I believe it's 7:30 in the evening. It's free of charge, people to come in and listen to you talk about it. And so that's the reason why you're coming. You're also speaking to the students of Bathurst High in the afternoon. So how did this come about, and how did you make it to come to Bathurst? Because
well, it was a very complicated process. I mean, to get me to come to a place, I mean, you can only imagine how, wait for it, non-complicated it is. Stephanie Maye asked me, I don't know, 6 months ago if I would do it, and the idea really appealed to me. So I'm coming. I mean, this is what I do. I talk about mental illness, and I know the power of talking. So it's not like I'm coming there thinking to myself, oh God, I mean, I do hope, obviously, I make a difference in somebody's life, but I know I will make a difference in somebody's life. And this is not particular to me. This is not, hey, look at me, I can change people's lives. Anyone who speaks about mental illness, their own experience, candidly and openly, can make a difference to the people in the room. So yeah, I'll be there talking to the high school during the day. And then in the evening, I'll be talking to adults who I imagine they could bring their kids. And here's the thing, like I'm going to promise something, and I know I can deliver on it. I'm going to promise you that if you show up, and I have nothing to gain by you showing up other than making my journey to Bathurst, more productive. But I'm going to promise you, anyone who's listening, that I can make a difference in your life, because either you're battling mental illness right now and you don't know it, or you're battling a mental illness like depression or anxiety and you know it, but you're ashamed, or you care about someone who's battling a mental illness. And that's everybody. We all care about someone. And I can help you understand better what you don't understand, and how you can be a better caregiver. So if you fall into any of those categories, then show up. And if after I'm done, if you listen to what I got to say after I'm done, if you think, well, that wasn't really very good, I didn't get anything out of it, then come up to me and tell me that. And you know what? Donut on me. I was just trying to think of something that wouldn't cost me a fortune if 50 people come up. But that's how sure I am. I know this message works, and it's relevant to everyone. So the high school at 7:30 on Thursday evening. Come and let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about but needs to be.
Well, I had somebody in my office the other day talking to me, a friend of mine, and he shared with me his story about the struggles that he's having lately with mental health. One of the things that he told me, he said, that I found really profound was that it's my story to tell, not yours. So, in other words, he was prepared to tell stories about what he was feeling, but didn't want everybody to be walking around and kind of yapping away about it behind his back and whatever. And it was like, allow me to tell my story. And that's what I'm hearing from you too, is that you're telling your story so that people will feel that they need to share and get it out there too.
Yeah, I think that nothing bad ever happens from the sharing of your mental health. So it's like, I guess it's the physicians, the Hippocratic oath. One of the things it says is do no harm. There is no harm in doing what I'm doing. And the real benefit is if you can connect with a person on a level that maybe their family doctor couldn't connect with them. If I can prove to you that I understand what's going on in your head because it's going on in mine, then everything I say after that is believable to you. Like there's some things about mental illnesses that we all have in common. Not some of us, but that we all have in common. I've given a couple of hundred talks over the last 10 years. And I would say that without a doubt, I've asked the question, and 90% of them, I've asked people, if I say something that does not resonate with you, if you think, well, no, I haven't experienced that, then you put up your hand. And I can tell you that no one has put up their hand. And just a little tease of what it is, because we don't have time to go through it. Plus, you'd say, my God, Michael, you gave us all the information we need. We don't need you in Bathurst. So the one thing that first and foremost is a characteristic of depression, which I know best, but many mental illnesses, is the loss of the ability to experience joy. Now, Robert, when I say that, I'm not saying that a person with depression doesn't have good things happen to them. The world around you doesn't change. It's not like it's not like you're going, okay, well, why am I in this position where nothing good happens? That's not what it is. It's the ability to feel joy, to experience joy. And for those of you, and I hope this is you, Robert, who have never been through it, you can't understand that, nor should you understand that. I mean, we can't understand what other people go through with illnesses we haven't had. But for some reason, when it comes to mental illness, we all assume, yeah, I've been through bad times. There were times when I woke up in the morning and I didn't want to get out of bed. And there were times in my life when, I just wasn't happy. There's a difference between bad times in your life and mental illness. And one of my jobs on Thursday night is to distinguish between just life and mental illness. And like I said, I know this. I know this subject because I live this subject, because I can talk about my own experiences and do nothing else other than say, this is what I have felt, this is what I feel. And if I do that, there'll be people in the audience I know who are nodding their heads. So only an absolute fool wouldn't show up on Thursday night. I'm kidding with that, obviously, but come, I can make it fun too.
Well, I appreciate you coming here, and my hat's off to Stephanie Maillet for organizing this and being able to reach out to you, and you volunteering to come to Bathurst to do this and sharing your story, because I'm sure it's going to help many, many people. And the fact that you're also talking to the students that, in the beginning of their life, if they're struggling with stuff, they can talk about it too. So appreciate the fact you're coming to Bathurst. I think we're very privileged to the fact that you're going to be in our region. And so Thursday night, on the 12th of October, make sure you're heading out to Bathurst High to listen to you give your story and to maybe listen to others tell their part of their story going through. So very much appreciated. Thank you.
Are you going to be there, Robert?
I am going to do my best to be there. I've got some other stuff I got to push around. But if I can't, though, I'm thinking of sneaking in the afternoon and sitting in with the students. I'd pass for a student, wouldn't I?
Hey, dude, I get a +1. So you could be my +1. So if you want to come in the afternoon, or if anyone can't make it, there's always a back door to the gymnasium. So I'll sneak over there, open it up, wave you in, and then you can hang out. So I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. And if not, thanks for the chance to talk to people and tell them, come, because it will make a difference in your life. And it'll make a difference in my life too, just getting to look out and realizing I get to use the worst thing in my life, which is depression, as one of the best things.
Well, thank you. And there we have it. Another edition of Northern Heat for this week, the place you come to listen to the stories that haven't been discovered yet.